This replay is brought by ETC. Before the game starts, I'd like to point out that the enemy team does not have a tank. I mean, they have Sonya, I guess. Close enough, but really what it looks like is they have a hard engage comp with tasks that are Butcher and Sonya. So this ETC really needs to focus on peeling rather than engaging because of this.
The battle begins in 10 seconds.
Especially with that fragile backline. Bit of a missed ETC combo there. Looks like there was no face melt, which would have killed the false stat.
Blue team draws first blood.
Taking way too much damage. With healers such as Malfurion, who don't have burst heal instead of healing over time, you really got to back up and give them a chance to heal you. Give some time for that heal to proc. A good way to practice this is to play Muradin in quick match without it, since you're most likely not going to have a healer. And use Muradin's third wind to sustain yourself in fights. Go in, go out, get some health back from your passive, go right back in the fight. No attempts to dodge skill shots being made. ETC's just taking a lot of unnecessary damage. Most of the main skill shots are extremely telegraphed. That Q should have been obvious. Kiting even on melee characters is very important. There is no reason to tank an entire minion wave right there. You gotta just easily let it crash into your towers, and that's it, instead of losing half of your health bar. It looks like the pathing on ATC is a bit too predictable. It's mostly standing still, walking in a straight line, which allows the main to land their skill shots very easily. You need to be less predictable with your pathing. Throw her off. Don't give her those easy skill shots.
The time is now, heroes.
Extreme hesitation right here. His team is fighting in top lane. He's riding his pony back and forth. Right there, he should have either captured their altar or immediately engaged in the false stat. Hell, maybe even go top lane, help his team out. But staying between two and being indecisive might cost them the altar. Not both. Again, extremely low health. He's not giving a chance for his healer to heal him, giving the main a reset. Malfurion isn't exactly Brightwing. There's no reason to stand on top of him. He will heal you. That hesitation by ETC in the middle of the lane right here, instead of helping his team top lane or engaging in the false stat in 2v1, that is, or even capping this, that hesitation is what cost them both altars. In MOBAs, every second counts. You can't spend that much time thinking what's the right move. Just make a move. Another thing I'm noticing is the ETC is solo laning a bit too much. I understand that nobody's soaking bottom, but ETC has incredible gank potential. With a little bit roaming, he could easily put his team in the lead. Especially now that bot lane doesn't have any minions. That Butcher that's being chased right now should easily be turned on by ETC. Looks like ETC is not looking at the minimap at all. The minimap needs to be looked at least every 10 seconds. set a timer or something to go off every 10 seconds. A noise that doesn't annoy you, they'll just remind you to look at the minimap until it becomes a habit. Right here, this is an incredibly dangerous spot to be. Falstad just hit 10. If he gets gust and he flies right here behind the team and just gusts him into the fort, that could be a potential team wipe. A way that this could be avoided is if ETC just moves up behind the team a bit closer to intercept the Falstad. And the moment that Falstad flies right here, power slide him and just deny that gust. And there's the gust pickup. Here comes the fly, it's being channeled. And there's probably the team wipe. Right here is another big issue. ETC looks like he's about to run. Instead of coming down here and helping his team most likely is going to get wiped here. But if he power slides the Falstad, that's a guarantee kill. At the least, they'll get that going for them. Especially since the enemy team is ahead in levels. Kills are worth more when you're lower level than the enemy.
The altars rise again.
This whole fight could have been avoided. This pathing is incredibly dangerous and there's no reason for it. Always take the safe pathing, especially if you're outnumbered. Again, it's just taking unnecessary free amount of damage. You need to give time for that Malfurion heal to pop.
The altar is ours. Fire. The altars have risen. Activate them now.
A bit of a misplay right here. This power slide was perfect, however, he did not use face melt. The face melt would have pushed Butcher right back towards Lunar for an easy free kill. For some reason, face melt's not being comboed with power slide. Face melt, power slide, that's the bread and butter right there. Because of this, Butcher lived a lot longer than he should have and was able to get an ult off on ATC. Really can't walk in a straight line. Telegraphing your path, you're asking to get hit by skill shots. Completely unnecessary mosh pit here. Not only was it on one target, but the Q did not connect. You should only mosh pit if the Q connects. Otherwise, that 1 second channel time on a mosh pit is more than enough time for them to walk out of the stun. On top of that, the mosh pit was overkill. If you look back, he was going to die regardless. That's just putting a 2-minute cooldown. A 2-minute ult on cooldown for no reason. Right here is HP in this positioning. Lunaris is about to kill him. So is Thrall. There's absolutely no reason for this mosh pit. Unless that mosh pit was an attempt to hit Tassadar and Li Ming. In that case, you could tell. Li Ming's already out of range of it. And she's running away. Tassadar, I mean, it kind of looks like he's walking into it. But again, without that Q connecting, there's no way that mosh pit's guaranteed to land. On top of that, it was also very, very delayed. That's just the mechanics thing. The tank should not be split away from the team. I understand Lunar is here, but majority of the team is in fact up there, and they need their tank. Especially since you do not have stage dive. You cannot split push on ETC without stage dive. So split pushing without stage dive not only cost the bottom shrine, but it could have also costed their shrine. Plus it gave them a few kills, pushing them further in the lead. This power slide really should have been saved for this Butcher charge right here. The Butcher charge makes him unstoppable, but the moment that the charge ends, and right the moment it starts, he is vulnerable. If you were to power slide him instead right here, so the Sonya was already rooted. Most likely he would have stunned the Butcher, then face melted him away from Lunara, and Lunara would have lived. But instead, because he mistimed it and hit Sonya instead, she's probably dead. Yep. And now they're in this awkward position, down a player, running for their life. Again, you have to wait for the Butcher charge. That face melt could have peeled better, but you have to let the charge connect. Then you stun him. Or knock him back. CC has to be applied when he's not unstoppable. Now that was a much better power slide, and it saved KT's life because of that. However, the mosh pit was extremely unnecessary. Mosh pit is not an execute. 2-minute cooldown that's wasted. Mosh pit's too powerful a cooldown to simply be wasted, especially looking at their comp with the double melee Tassadar. The solo support Tassadar and Li Ming with Disintegrate. She's unable to stop Mosh Pit, so their only reliable way of stopping Mosh Pit would be Gust. So if you could wait till that Gust is up and then land a 3-man Mosh, or even a 2-man Butcher Sonya, that would win them every fight. So wasting that Mosh is a really big deal this game. This is right here is just dicking around by the whole team. This guy is retreating. Instead of chasing them around, they should just cap this shrine while it's still free and being uncontested. Push every advantage you get. Don't just walk around in circles. Again, nothing's being accomplished by the team right now. They're just walking in circles. That could have already been capped. There's no reason why the person who capped bot lane is also going to cap mid lane. That was a bit better, but it's still single target. The problem with it being single target is it's a 2-minute cooldown ultimate. Now, can they get anything on the map that would basically push their advantage before Butcher spawns in 44 seconds? That determines the value of that mosh pit. Right now, if they could get the boss or capture some of the keeps, it'll be worth it. If they don't do any of that, it's just a wasting mosh pit, because the mosh pit's going to be a longer cooldown than Butcher kill. Right, here's another mistake. ETC was right here with his team. But instead of frontlining for his team and peeling for them, since they did not have the vision of the entire team, he immediately power slided towards the enemy to engage. Because of this, Sonya could now leap on top of his team and easily kill one of these two. They basically trapped themselves. Just look at this positioning. They're completely surrounded. If you're playing as a solo tank right now, you don't have a second tank that's able to protect the backline. So the bigger job you have is to protect the backline. Playstyle changes if there's two tanks. Then one of you can engage, the second one could sort of engage, but still focus on peeling. And there goes KT. It looks like ETC also trapped themselves with really shitty pathing. Let's take a look. Yeah, right here, right. This whole back and forth crap, it looks like he clicked on the minimap to walk, like here or something, for example. And because of this, the character's auto-pathing automatically takes the closest pathing, which pushes him like this. But he's being body blocked by Sonya the entire time. So a good way to avoid this is not to click on your minimap, but instead either hold right click and drag your mouse so it walks your character like this, or do small clicks like this. This way you're more precise with your movement and you won't get trapped like that. The amount of damage he took from that self-body block killed him. And that looks like it's going to be the fight in another temple. This isn't exactly related to ETC. It's more of a KT thing. But this bush was never checked. When the fight started, that bush was completely ignored. KT, instead of throwing his Q right here at the minions, well, at the mercs to be exact, he should have threw his Q right here. This would have showed him if anyone's checking that bush, because his team showed up late for the objective and they didn't have enough time to set up. Maps like this or Curse Hollow where there's time to set up because you know where the tribute's coming or ahead of time, setting up is extremely important, especially with ultimates like Mosh Pit. If ETC was able to get in this bush before the enemy team was, he wasn't because of the boss code, but if he was, he could have easily, when they face check, just power slide them and Mosh Pit, just like that, for a team wipe. Bushes are not being utilized. ETC did not roam and gank, he focused a lot on solo laning without having stage dive. I strongly believe that Mosh Pit is the better ult because although stage dive increases the quality of life of ETC, Mosh Pit wins games. But Mosh Pit was not utilized there at all. At least not properly. Few ways to really remedy this. Practice Mosh Pit, Q Mosh Pit only. If you don't land the Q, don't press Mosh Pit. Or just go stage dive, it's fine. Like with the quality of Mosh Pits that were this game, you probably would have got more value off of the stage dive. Anyway. On top of that, a lot of this game was spent split pushing. I'd like to point out how silly this is. So Malfurion is hitting the fort, but from this side instead of this side. There's literally no reason to do this. I just, like, I don't get it. You basically trap yourself between a fort and their team. You also spelled LOL, which is basically what that move was. And he's dead because of that. Right here is another questionable move. So, it looks like because Malfurion died, Thrall ran for his life. And ETC moved up to try to peel for Thrall. That's what it looked like. But instead of peeling for Thrall, he's hitting the fort. He was hitting the fort, and now he lost so much health that it killed him. That's that indecisiveness right there. You gotta make a decision. You're either peeling for him, or you're not. Don't just sit there in the middle thinking what's the right play. Because you ended up doing neither, and now you're dead for it. It's just like that shrine capture. You kept thinking, do you want to help top lane, or do you want to help your shrine, or do you want to cap theirs? You ended up getting none of those. Gotta be more certain in your moves. Even if it's the wrong move, you gotta be more certain. If you make the wrong play, you could always look back at it and say, I fucked up, I should have done this instead. You could look back at your own mistakes. And next time, not make the wrong play. Or at least, try not to make the wrong play. If you don't make any plays at all and just sit there thinking about what are your options, you're just going to lose the game. You're basically spectating the game like I am. Having very little impact. Actually, looking back at impact, his team has a lot of deaths, but he doesn't. But at the same time, not much plays were actually made by ETC. There wasn't any roaming or ganking, and there was a lot of unnecessary damage taken. So we're going back to that idea that you're just spectating your own game. You need to make a decision of what your play is going to be and just stick with it. Or either even if it's something like ganking or just soaking and then stage diving into the fights after the soak, or when your team needs you, that's fine. But don't just sit there thinking, what's the right move? Make the wrong move if you have to. Just make a move. This late into the game, splitting is the worst possible thing you could do. They could easily be picked off. This also applies to this Butcher, who's very, very special and is now dead because of it. Them having 3 people clear out mid and 2 people clear out bottom, that's not a good idea. You must encourage your team to always stay as 5 this late into the game, unless they have a global. Stage dive, the hunt, right wings teleport, just false stats fly. If you have a global, you could split push and then just fly into the team fight. But there's no globals on their team. Splitting off is just asking to get picked off one by one. Again, the face check on KT in this push, very, very dangerous. If they were waiting in that bush, that could have been a problem. No decisions being made by ETC. He's going back and forth. He could have killed Tassadar. He could have jumped on the false stat. Just walking around in circles trying to decide what's the right play. Gotta get on that point faster. If Li Ming had the knockback, maybe she could have done something with it. The level 20 up knockback knocks you back pretty far back, and taking your time to get on that capture point is asking it beyond what the fuck moments and get your boss done. Another completely unnecessary mosh pit. There's such thing as overkill. You don't want to pyroblast 1 HP targets. You don't want to mosh pit someone who's guaranteed dead already. Because mosh pit's a 2-minute cooldown. A game-changing cooldown. And it's being utilized the same way a power slide would.